tonight's topic is chosen by Laurie again, and it's called The Journey of the Soul. So first of all, can I ask you all a very simple question? Do you know you are soul? Anybody know for sure I am soul? Okay, quite a few of you. How many not sure that I am a soul? Thank you, I love honesty. Okay, so let me just explain a little bit about what soul is. You know, all the scientists have explained today that there is a consciousness that is in everything, in everyone, in the galaxies, on our earth. There is a consciousness. Now, the yogis from thousands of years ago questioned life, questioned human existence. Why is it that we live, we suffer, we die, we enjoy, but there's so much suffering? So they questioned life. Shanti, just make it a little louder. Yeah. So, because I'm straining my voice. So the soul, they questioned, and when they sat down to meditate, because they felt they had to get the answers through their mind. So they sat down and meditated. And they heard sounds, they had visions. And then they realized that they really was one with this consciousness, that the body was separate from the consciousness. But what happens to a body when it dies? When a body dies, energy leaves it, energy. Okay? That energy is what they called a soul. So what happens to energy? Anything in life. For example, you have a tree. You cut down that tree and they make it into books or furniture. The same wood can be used for many, many things. For example, a bar of gold, right? A bar of gold. You take it to the jewelers. That same bar can have different names. A bracelet, a necklace, earrings. It could be anything, for your teeth. So a bar of gold is one, but when you see it separate, you see it as something totally different. You would never call a bracelet an earring, but actually the bracelet and the earring are exactly the same. It's the gold. So they realize, these rishis, you call them wise people, that underlying everything that moves, there is something that is still. And if you look at it just with common sense in your own life, in order to have a car going, it needs a road that doesn't move. Correct? The road doesn't move. What moves? The car. So the road is always a road, and the car moves through it. So what they realized is, okay, until this energy becomes like that stillness, this is where the Bible writes, be still and know that I am God. Until it gets to that stillness, that energy will always be an individual energy. And that individual energy is what is the pure consciousness with the mind stuff. What the yogis call the mind stuff. In other words, your thought patterns. So the consciousness with the thought patterns make an individual soul. So the soul starts its journey. If you imagine an ocean of water, just imagine a beautiful ocean. You take a bucket out of that ocean, and again, the same thing. You take some water to the Coca-Cola factory and they'll do, Coke. Another one will do pure juices, and another one would do water, distilled water, but it's from the same ocean. So the yogis realize that this consciousness, what other people call God, this consciousness was just vibrant. It just was vibrant. And the only way to get in touch with this consciousness is through stillness, because this consciousness is still. It doesn't interfere. It doesn't bother us. It just is. And then they found that the qualities, that energy of this consciousness was truth, knowledge, bliss. In Sanskrit, Sat Chid Ananda, which happens to be the name of my beloved guru as well, who you see right here. And so this consciousness, this energy, and how did they come to this truth? Truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Again, using common sense. Forget about studying fancy books. This is the self and that is the self and this is a consciousness. You will get so confused. How did they come to this? If you just use your own thinking power without being influenced by anybody in the world, nobody, just think. When you are in truth, your mind is very still. When you are aware in the moment, and not tortured by the past or tortured by what will happen in the future, you are very still. When you have that stillness, there is a peace. And when there's that supreme peace, it is blissful. And why is it that all of us, every single human being in this world, searches for two things, happiness and peace? Because that's what we are. Why would we search for something that we are not? But what happened when we got through this journey? Our essence, my master used to make a joke of it. He said, it meaning the consciousness of God, there was just it, and only it. It got so bored that it shed itself. It shed itself. And it made the mountains first. The mountains did nothing. It made the seas did what it told. It made the sky and the planets and the galaxies. Everything obeyed until it made man. Gave it its own intelligence. That's why we have an intelligence. And we were given this intelligence. It's kind of like, I know, it sounds kind of funny, a game. How to get back home. Most of the games, Risk, Monopoly, all these games that you play, you have to get back home. Do not pass go, go to jail. You got the wrong moves, But you want to go home. So the individual soul starts its journey. We don't know when. And the reason why we don't know when, I asked this question for many years myself, asking, why don't I know something about my past? Do you know what? It's a real blessing. It's an absolute blessing, because just one life, when people have trauma or suffering, it stays in their mind all the time. Can you imagine remembering all your past lives? Oh my God, it would be a nightmare. So it's a gift that we don't remember. And also, because the human mind is so fickle, even if you try to forgive and let go, it takes a long time to really forgive and let go. So you're constantly torturing yourself over the negative stuff. It's just the way the human mind works. 100 good things happen to us in a day. And what do? We will remember the one bad thing. It will stay with us. Instead of saying, okay, this thing happened to me today, let me drop it. No, the whole day. The other day I had somebody come in, see me, 10:30 in the morning. Oh, this happened, da-da-da-da. Okay, let it go. What can you do? That's life. These things happen. Let it go. It's no big deal. 1:30, the same story. Da-da, but this happened, da-da, da-da, da-da. Did we talk about it at 10:30 this morning? Isn't it done yet? Let it go. Don't ruin your day. These things happen. It's life. 5 o'clock, again, the same story. I said, do you know what? I'm tired of hearing it. Let it go. And the person let it go. At that point, the person let it go. But I had to be quite, okay, that's enough now. Just let it go. And like that, many of us, in fact, before I started yoga and studying of the mind, I used to be like that. I was full of anger. Somebody did me something wrong 10 years before, 10 years later, I'm still angry about that one thing. How ridiculous. How ridiculous when our journey through life is so short. Obviously without the knowledge, I was in ignorance. I didn't know what to do. Was I bad or good? No, I was just dumb. So, so seek knowledge. This is really important for the soul. You know, in all our scriptures it says, if you have three things, you are really blessed in this life. One, a human birth. Two, the desire to understand why you are here. What is this birth all about? Why am I here? Why am I living here? What is my human mission? To have that desire to want to know. And then finally, to have a teacher or a guru. In my case, I have a guru. I had two great gurus, my father and my guru, to guide you. And then you're really blessed. And I have to agree that is the truth. It is the truth. I think those are the three blessings. And all of us, you know, we have a human birth. And that you are all here is that you all have the desire to know the truth. What for? All this suffering, all this, you know, journey, roller coaster rides through life, really good times and crash, really bad times. What for? The whole reason is, you know, funny enough, when things are going right for us, we kind of like forget to ask these questions. We just forget. We're just so happy with everything going right. I got a nice house, I got a nice car, I got jewelry, or I got this, I got a great job. And it's fine. Unfortunately, this state of being doesn't last long in anybody's life. You may have all those things, but something else will come up. Some other suffering will come up. A fear, a worry. And that's when the panic starts to set in. I have everything and I'm not happy. How can this be? Then mortality comes up. You see people dying all around you and you think, oh my God, panic attack happens inside of you. One day I'm going to go too. You may not think it deeply, but your soul, the energy in you knows it starts to get panic attacks. And you know why you get them? Because it's a fear you haven't done what you were born to do. Anytime people come to me with panic attacks, it's a fear, you know. It's Nalanie, my life is going and I don't know what it's worth. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand, you know. I have no more zest for life. I have no more inspiration. Life is dull. Because when you're not living in that cosmic energy, it is dull. It is dull because we are from that big ocean of love. The Upanishads call this ocean the Lord of Love, which I love. I just love the name. And being unconditionally in love gives you that feeling. That's why nowadays there's so few people that get unconditional love. That's why more and more people are getting animals, especially dogs, because they're all cats, because they believe they get unconditional love, which humans no longer want to give. Because we're so frightened to get hurt. We're so frightened to be rejected. But that's the journey. It's part of the journey. Because when you get hurt and when you get rejected, that's when you'll ask, what for? That's when you'll ask, who am I? What am I? What is all this about? You know, what's happening at the end of the road? You know, I know people who passed away 20 years ago when I started this journey. You know, so many people, I can't, you know, I'm not going to take it if this person leaves this life. 20 years later, who remembers them? The immediate family? Nobody else. They're just memories. So none of us are indispensable. We die, and after a few years, everybody will forget us. 50 years, nobody will even remember who we are. And yet while we are living, it's so important what you think of me, what you know, and we base our lives on what people think of us, about the way we should have to appear to be acceptable. We sell who we are just to please others because we're so frightened of being our soul. We're so frightened to live, to, you know, I often say this. And I think many of you have heard me say this, but this is so true. This is just so true. And I really want people to understand this real truth. Each one of us came from that ocean, but each one of us is so different. None of us are identical. Each one is a designer piece. And yet we want to give up this designer piece to be a copy. How sad is the human state of mind? How sad. And where does it come from? Not believing that we are good enough, not believing that we all came from that same ocean, not knowing, not understanding. And the wonderful thing now is that science is showing this consciousness is one and it infiltrates everything. It just vibrates at different energy fields. So as human beings, when we behave like animals, we vibrate at a very low energy field. That's when you get very low depressions, that when you get, panic attacks, that's a low vibrational field. So what is the human mission? What is the journey of this soul is to vibrate at the higher energy field. To vibrate. Why do we want to vibrate at a higher energy field? Because we're all seeking joy and happiness. When we're negative, it just automatically drags us down, because the soul is telling us when you're dragged down, you're not in your joy, you're not in your peace. This is not why I brought you on earth. I brought you on earth to enjoy it all, not to be attached to it all, but to enjoy it all. And when you go, say goodbye, but not to be holding and possessing and believe everything is yours, because nothing is yours. You are just journeying through this life, and not only this life, many lifetimes before. Many lifetimes before, because energy doesn't die. Like I said, it transfers from one thing to the other. And when you see a body die, what is left? The body. The body is still there. When my husband died, I said his body is still there, but he's no longer in it. Where was he? He's gone. And because I understood that he's flying, he's got no heavy body to put him down, he's in bliss, why would I want him to come back to earth and suffer? Why would I want it? Why would you want it for anybody you love? And it's hard, because the only reason we won't try to drag people down with us is because we're so frightened of being alone, or frightened, what's going to happen to me? It's all about me. But when we can lose that consciousness of I and me and flow with the consciousness, it's all one. And if I really want to understand this truth, my wish for everybody must be that they find their peace and their joy and their freedom. Their freedom. Each one of us, we search for freedom. How many people, when they start to feel trapped or possessed, they go, oh no, they feel so trapped. Knee pain, back pain, head pain. Because we're not meant to be trapped. Love is not meant to suffocate us. The journey of the soul is to learn to appreciate everything this moment while we have it. Because tomorrow we may not have such a beautiful moment. And why to worry so much about so many things and be so technical in our spirituality and so judgmental in our spirituality? Oh no, if you don't meditate 2 hours a day, you're not going to find the divine. I know people who don't meditate, and they know more about God than most people. Ask them, they're the farmers. They live with nature. They know so much about the divine because they live in that consciousness. They're not destroyed by their own materialistic desires. Oh, if I don't have this, I'm not going to be happy. Of course material things are good. We're meant to enjoy it all. I always say I think everybody should have enough. Even our Sanskrit prayers that came thousands of years ago, what does it say? Om Savesham Swastir Bhavatu. Happiness be unto all, peace be unto all, prosperity be unto all, good health be unto all. Let everybody enjoy this. Because when you come to this world, even in the teaching of Ayurveda also says you must be financially able to deal with your life, you need good health, and you need to have good spiritual values, and then you can live a very good life. All this is necessary. We have the 4 Purusharthas in our Hindu tradition. Again, the same thing. Live your life righteously. Live your life dharma, it says. Artha. Have enough funds to live it righteously. Kama. K-A-M-A. Love. You need love in your life. And 4, moksha. Freedom. And what gives you that freedom is the realization, I'm the consciousness. That gives you freedom. I'm never going to die. Nalanie's certainly going to die, lose her body, and goodbye, hopefully burnt into ashes. Nobody should worry too much about it. It's just a body. But the consciousness, that's where there's peace. And don't worry, if you want to come back to life, those who have a great life and say, I want to have many lifetimes, as you think, it'll become. It's really like that. You see, the problem is we have this lovely instrument that's been given to us as a gift called the mind. And we think the mind, the problem lies that we think the mind is us. But the mind is not us. The mind is just like a mirror given to us to reflect our soul. For example, if you have a mirror and you have a shower and it's full of steam, right? And you go in front of the mirror, can you see yourself? You can't. You'll see the steam. As the steam starts to go, what do you see? As the steam starts to go, you start to see yourself. But it's a disfigurement of you. It's not your complete face. But when the mirror is totally clear, what do you see? Your true self. So this is what the journey of our soul is. We come here to realize who we really are. And then meanwhile, because you realize who you are, and you realize how precious a human birth is, and the human goal is for peace, and it's all in here, then you'll spend the rest of your life doing things that will raise your vibration, raise your sense of peace and love and joy. And in so doing, share this with everybody else, because one person in the house gets happy, everybody gets happy. One person is miserable, everybody is miserable. So you raise the vibration of yourself, you raise the vibration of your home, and when your vibration is high, what will happen is people will just be attracted to you because they recognize that in themselves, that they have lost. They recognize that joy. They recognize that consciousness. They recognize it. But when we're in suffering, the mind becomes so steamed that we forget this. And we think, oh my God, this is going to be forever. We think we're never going to get out of this pain. We think, then we start causing pain to others, revenge, anger, unforgiveness. And the more we do that, the worse it gets for us. Because then we live with this horrible feeling. When you hate anyone, when you're angry with anybody, your body can never be relaxed. It's always rigid. Your heart is covered by a layer that causes and destroys you. But when you are okay, what can you do? Forgive, let it go. What can you do? Will worry change anybody? Will revenge change anybody? Will anger change anybody? Ask yourself, what good will it do? What good would any of it do? And then you relax, and then the body will relax, and then you have a good laugh. You just have a good life. That's life. Les and I were talking last night. He was doing a project and so many things went wrong. And suddenly we were having dinner and he just started laughing and laughing. Why are you laughing? He said, do you think the gods are trying to tell me something? I said, maybe. So many things have gone wrong. But because he understood the spirit, there was no anger. It's a joke, It's a joke. You see, don't take it personally. And when you don't take something personally, it becomes so easy. And you know what? I'm not going to get in this mind game again. I'm just going to have fun. I'm going to let it go. And he did let it go. And so we had a really nice dinner and laughed the whole evening about the funny, journeys that we have in life with our work, with people. And just don't take it seriously. And it shows with practice you can get to this state. This is why we meditate. Most people just meditate and think just by meditating, I'm going to get holy. You need to understand why you're meditating. And it happens in stages. My master used to say something to me. He said, just purify the mind. Just purify your mind. Just love everybody. And then when you will find meditation easy. Why? Because the mind is, again, clear. And when it's clear, what happens? What does it reflect? The consciousness, which is stillness. still. And how nice to be still. How nice to be still. How nice to be just still and enjoying the moment. How nice is to sit in your house and just say, that's it. It's such a nice feeling. You don't have to think. You don't have to do. You just have to be still. And then everything comes, all the information you need comes running to you. You say, how did I get this thought? How did I know this? Why? Because the mind is still. The consciousness has all the information. It's there for everyone, each and every one of us. But we can only receive this information without distortion if we can understand that we are really not this body and not this mind. And all of this is on loan because it, the consciousness, wanted to know it through all our different forms, each one of us. That's why when you're really enlightened, you really can't hurt anyone. And you really can't, yes, you will know this person's mind is a little disturbed. Or this person is not a nice person, don't go near them. But it's not judgment, it's intelligence. And you will love them anyway. But this is their energy field. To go into that energy field is going to disturb you, so walk away. The yoga science book tells us that's what we should do. Disregard, some of you really know this already. What does it tell us? Disregard the wicked. And it just doesn't mean the wicked, it means anything negative that comes, don't give anything negative that comes into your life, don't give it energy. Disregard means don't give it energy. Don't give it energy. When something negative happens to us, we give it way too much energy. We give it so much analysis. The more you think it, the more it becomes and grows. I've seen so many people who've had psychological treatment and repeat the same thing. And I say, after 13 years, you're still angry? What's the point? Do you see what I'm saying? What's the point? After 13 years, you're still upset at the same problem. And you've been seeing a psychologist for 13 years. Why? Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why.
They like whining. They just like it. They feed on it, actually.
Yes. And also, they don't know how to let go. It's so much easier to blame than to accept responsibility. Psychologist is really necessary in your life. It really is necessary because you need to find the reason why you have the problem. But once you know why you have the problem, stop blaming. Once you take responsibility for your own life, because your life really belongs to you. And when we're angry at somebody else, somebody's already hurt you, you give your freedom away by staying angry. So you have to take your life in your hand, and it's your responsibility, and the blaming has to stop. Because if you keep blaming, you can never be free. You know what it's like. It's your fault, and you get angry and angry and angry. It's nobody's fault. This situation has happened to you for you to learn to let go and remember who you are and be able to walk away if you need to, or be able to have the courage to confront it if you need to. Sometimes we're just cowards. Things are not working in our life and we don't want to talk about them because we're so fearful. So fear is our biggest enemy. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, again and again it tells us, you cannot find me, meaning the consciousness or God, whatever you want to call it, if you have fear, guilt, or anger. You cannot. So all this guilt business is really a waste of time. If you've done something wrong in your life, or if you haven't done something right, get on with it, forgive yourself and let go. Just don't do it again. Just don't do it again. Doing this action caused this result. Just be clever. Don't do it again. Walk away. Just know. Don't be afraid. If you work with your higher self, as we call it, the consciousness, which is light, Light will take you out of the darkness, even if you are not looking for it. But if you are acting in goodness and light, as my master said, just do good and be good. Sometimes that's much simpler. Much simpler. And then you understand the journey of the soul. Because you see, every time something happens to us that is difficult, we shrink away from our soul and we get enwrapped in self-pity, like you said, and fear and anger. And really, when the things that happen to us that are so negative, our reaction should be, you know what, this is just a small part of infinity. All the books I read tell me I'm infinite. I never die. The soul never dies. Consciousness never dies. Small part. And I'm behaving that this is the rest of my life. And what happens when you do that? You can't live in the moment. You can't enjoy now. Our life is short. I always say tomorrow we could be dead. It's true. Tomorrow we could be dead. We don't know. We just don't know. So it's so short. Why do you want to live it like that, you know? And this is the journey of the soul. And really, the law of this earth that we are on, you know, there are many planets. But this planet Earth, you know, it lives in the laws, the universal law here of cause and effect. This is the way it works. Also, we have the law of entropy, which is everything deteriorates in time. That's why we get older. This is the law of this universe. The science know this. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So there's nobody to blame. There's no God punishing you. There's none of that happening. This light is just consciousness, truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. So when you understand that and realize nothing is punishing you except your own mind. And guess what freedom you have? Guess what the greatest gift is? That the mind is with us and only we can change it. Only we can change it. If you want to be happy, you know, when people come to me, yesterday a gentleman came to me so miserable. And I said, okay, I know all this has happened to you and I'm really, really, really sorry because what you've gone through is really bad. But you've been suffering for 4 months already. 4 whole months. Do you think you deserve to suffer more? But Nalanie, I did the wrong thing and as a result this happened and it's happened. It's done. It's finished. You had 4 horrible months. You've lost a ton of weight. You've lost your business. Don't you think that's enough suffering? Now let go. You say, but how can I change it? I said, this moment. He said, what do you mean this moment? Smile. So you smile. And I said, you can decide that you're done with the suffering and decide I'm going to inspire myself and be happy. He goes, how? I said, what do you like to do in your life? We talk. And we came with quite a few things that, you know, he'd left aside because he'd been so sad. So then he suddenly got, oh my God, I like this. I said, yeah, that's the energy you want to bring back. Because that consciousness is creativity. It created all of us. It created all of us. Has to be quite creative, don't you think? So when we bring up the creativity in us, we become alive. So, you know, rather than when things go wrong, dwell in self-pity and feel sorry for yourself, that's the time use your creativity and try to get yourself out of yourself. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, we are our best friends or our worst enemies. Nobody else is our enemy. It's us. And how do you do it? Why do you do it? Because you know if you stay in misery, it's a waste of a lifetime. It's a waste of this lifetime. You only have this body. And look at you, all of you have such great bodies. Really, everybody in this room has such great bodies, such great minds, such great minds. Don't waste your life. Even if you don't make it to self-realization this lifetime, to realize your consciousness, my God, your next lifetime will be built for you. Beautiful. Because you're buying insurance in your soul. We buy insurance for our house and then you argue 100 times to get it paid when something goes wrong. Spiritual insurance is free. It's forever. It's yours. And it all starts by cleaning this mirror called mind. And the mind is really a gift. It's a gift to reflect the consciousness. And that's why I love Sri Patanjali and the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, which is, somebody asked about the course, which is the course I'm giving. You know, why do I love it? Because he says, when you make this very peaceful, you will abide in your own true nature. Abide, live alongside with that consciousness, which is truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Then you don't want to lie, because you know every time you lie, you're going to mind stuff. You want to live in the best state of truth. You don't want to hate anyone, because hating gives you too much mind stuff. You want to forgive, because it makes you free. You're not holding on to anything. When you're totally forgiven, there's nothing on your shoulders. You're just free. You're just so free. And that's what they say our journey in this human body is to realize that we are free. And the only person that is stopping us from being free is ourselves. It's our very own self. But because it's all covered by what we call illusion or Maya, because we believe we are permanent in this body, because we are covered in this Maya, we are so far from the truth. But you only have to sit with yourself every day for a little while. Only sit with yourself and ask the same questions those wise ones did. You only have to observe life and nature, and the truth will come to you. Because it's already in you, you see? That's why the kingdom of heaven is within us. That's what the Bible says. Seek ye God in all its righteousness, and everything else will be added on to you. Because once you know the kingdom of heaven is in you, you won't be so busy, desperate to find somebody to love, or something to take, or somebody to possess, or things, material things to own. You won't be desperate. No problem. You have to laugh, don't you? Do you see how much fun the spirit is? Do you see how much fun the spirit is? You know, it's just having fun with us all the time. Is it going to test? Are you going to get disturbed by the noise? No, it's having fun with us. And so is our life. Things are going to go wrong all the time. It's having fun with us. Can you just accept that it happens and just laugh through it? Accept, adjust, accommodate. I gave you a piece of paper there today. You know, this is how the journey of the soul is. So either you live a miserable life, either just be happy, you know. And I like I told the gentleman yesterday, I said, it's your choice now. I can't do it for you. And he left. He said, you know, Nalanie, I'm so inspired now. I said, don't forget, when you go out the door, you remember your heartache, but remember the inspiration too. So 2 hours later, he stayed for the talk last night, and then he goes, I remember the inspiration, even though the pain is there. Do you see? We have to live with the pain. Yes, I'm so sorry. Everybody has to go through it. I'm really sorry. It's really painful. And you just want to, and that's why when anybody is in pain, give them compassion. Sri Patanjali also has that in his 4 locks and keys in this Raj Yoga science. He says, when people are unhappy, give them compassion. Compassion, because when you're unhappy, what do you need? Just compassion. You don't need people to advise you, do this and do that and do this. You really don't need that. In fact, that's the worst thing in the world. You just want somebody to sit and listen and just give you love. Just empathy and love. You know, nowadays, we forget to give compassion. Everybody's trying to show what a great ego they have, that they know how to heal everyone. Okay? So you must do this and do this and do this and do this and do this. No. If you want to be happy, here are the tools. Sometimes people are not ready. They need some time. You know, give them that time. It's hard when you're going through a very bad time. Sometimes you need a few months to get out of the black cloud. I call it karma. I don't think anybody is bad. It's just karma, maybe some karma they have to fulfill. And then it's done. And when it's done, because you've given them that seed of hope, then as soon as it's done, the seed of hope rises up. That's all we can give people in our lives, seeds of hope. So when they're going through their dark, dark, dark periods, they have this little light, a glimmer. And if they have the glimmer, it'll come up as soon as the karma lifts. It's like the fog, right? Anybody driven in fog, heavy, deep-set fog? What do you have to do?
Brake.
Yeah, stop until it lifts. Otherwise, you get a car accident. And many times when we're in our deep fog, I call it the black cloud. That's the name I give it. You know, everybody goes through it in life. And I say, just wait. Don't do anything irrational. Don't do anything stupid. Just wait. Just be patient. It will lift. And during this dark time, be with happy people. Be around nice people. Be around good people because it's contagious. If you're around negative people, they'll drag you down. So, all my friends are dragging me down. And you know what? Step back. Step back a bit. Go and see people who will bring you up because that's the medicine. It's not somebody who's going to agree with you and say, yeah, you're in a horrible place, oh, poor you, and da-da-da-da-da. Because it's not the medicine. That will make you more sick. You need somebody who will lift you up through the black cloud because you need light when times are bad. You don't need darkness. You need compassion and you need light and patience. And patience will help your soul because the soul is consciousness. It is truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. It wants to get back to that state. It wants to get back at that state. It lives in us. It is who we are without that disturbed mind. So it wants it back. The soul, the individual soul, the energy wants that peace back because it's experienced it. It wants it back. That's all. Why would we all be seeking something that we hadn't experienced? And that's the question I kept asking myself. Why do we all want peace? But then we get so mixed up with the world, and it just takes like this to forget. It takes this much. You get out, you're really peace, you're feeling great, and then you go out there and everybody tells you you're mad, etc. 2 days later, you're back into square one. This is why it's so important to spend time with your soul, with your consciousness every day. It's so important to give yourself that time. We give everything that time, but we don't give ourselves. We don't love our spirit enough. That which will go on and this body will stay, we don't give it any time. And we give this body all the time in the world. We don't give the spirit any time. And that's why it's really important to practice every day. Every day. You know, because you go out there, then watch the news, watch this, watch that. Everybody tells you you're a fool. When you live from your soul and you live with your joy, when you live with your heart, oh, you're so foolish. They told me that when I started yoga many years ago. You're so foolish. You know, you're never going to be survived. You're not charging. You're not doing this. You're not da-da-da. I'm really well, don't you think? But it's hard because, you know, when everybody's telling you you're mad, it's really hard to follow your spirit. It really is so hard. But then you know there's some truth in it because you tried everything else and nothing else works. And I'm so glad I followed. So this is why it's really important to be very strong in your practice. And that only happens when you spend time with you. The God within, the higher self within, whatever you want to call it. You know when you get there, when you start to get up in the morning feeling in love with life. You start to know you're getting somewhere. You start to know when you're getting somewhere, when you can laugh at your own mistakes and how silly you are. You start to know none of those things can bother you. You start to know you're getting there when people insult you and you just say, it's okay, it's life, you know. You start to feel, that's the feeling, the freedom, moksha, freedom. Not attached to any of it. Sri Patanjali says there's two things we need to do in order to enjoy this freedom, this connection, is to practice all these spiritual values daily for a long time, he says, for a long time, right? Everybody knows this. For a long time, without a break, and with all your heart. And then the other thing you have to do, he says, is a non-attachment. Nothing is mine. That's non-attachment. Today this is mine, tomorrow's it's somebody else's. You know, I have a great laugh, you know, and you probably understand this with me as well. The world is so funny sometimes. We have to laugh at ourselves. You know, I have a couple, they decide to split up. Both of them come to the office, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, you've decided, no problem, both mutual. Just remember one thing, be kind to your children. Don't get them into the battle, I'm better or you're better. Don't insult each other, because to the child, you know, the mother is the mother and the father is the father. They love both, no matter how bad they are, you know. So don't confuse the children, and try not to make the battle all about money. 50-50, be fair. Okay, they agree, everybody agrees. A few months later, one of the partners has found somebody else. They agreed, right? They're going to separate. One partner will come to me, I have to see you, I'm desperate, panicking, crying, screaming. What happened? They found somebody else. I said, but that's what you wanted. You wanted to let them go, didn't you? Good, they found somebody else. They're not going to give you a headache. They're not going to call you 10 times. Didn't you want them to leave you? Yeah, but they found somebody so soon. It makes And I said, but you were desperate for them to. I said, good, they found somebody else. Now they won't give you a hard time divorce. They want to divorce quickly. And no, but Nalanie, you don't understand. It makes me suffer. But you don't want to be with them. And you were with them for so many years. Why can't you wish them well? Don't you, if you found somebody else, don't you want the other partner to wish you well? Yeah, so why aren't you doing the same thing? So I got caught up in the mind stuff. I said, yeah, no need to feel bad. It's your ego that doesn't like it. But you are fine. You're absolutely fine. Actually, see the positive in it. And then sit and talk and talk and talk, and after a while, you're right. You see the mind stuff. It takes over, and it makes these unreal things happen in the mind. Jealousy, anger, fear. But really, it was the best thing that happened. So that person wasn't living in the truth of the moment. The truth of the moment is the universe gave you the best situation to make the divorce so easy for you. But instead of seeing the benefit in it, you are angry at it. Because the ego gets in the way. My, how could this happen to me? You know, I'm just so great. You see, the ego takes over. And I said, but you are so great. But when you sell yourself to this nastiness, to this horrific attitude, you are not so great. And that's why you don't like yourself, because you're not so great. That's why you can't sleep at night, because you're horrible and you're thinking horrible thoughts about the other person. You're thinking horrible things. So who's living in your mind? The other person's having a great time, but who's living in your mind? Those horrible thoughts. Did they put it there? No. Who put those thoughts in? Who's not allowing you to sleep? Oh, but what can I do with it? This is the practice. Use a mantra. Read spiritual books. Accept the pain. Accept, this is the practice. This is the practice. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Not going to be easy, but accept. Accept the pain. Sit with the pain. Forgive, and it's quick. Resist, and it's a long time of suffering. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Why do you want to do it to yourself? Nobody is doing it to you. Let it go. So I brought these sheets. I think I gave you. How am I doing for time?
It's 20 past.
Okay, great. It's nearly an hour. So we'll go through these sheets, and then if you have any questions, I'd love to take some questions. Is that okay? And then, but I'd love to go through this with you. I just thought some of you might have received these from me before. I'm not sure. I speak in so many places, I don't know where I've given what. But it came to my hand today. So, slogans for regularity in practice. So, would anybody like, should we all read it together? Let's read it together. The first one. It's not what you know that counts. It's what you do that counts. Okay? Remember, that's really great. You form the habit, and the habit forms you. Yoga gives you back the time you give it. I just stopped there. Yoga, actually, for those who don't know, the real meaning of yoga is to unite with your higher self, which is this consciousness. That's what it means. So if you want to connect with it, you give it time, it will give you back time. It will give you freedom, okay? 10% more discipline brings 50% more peace. I will be an example of the peace I want to see in the world. The mind. First you tame it, then you train it. Practice a little and have a little peace. Practice a lot and have a lot of peace. Practice all the time and have peace all the time. And how do you practice all the time? By constantly remembering, I am soul, I am spirit, you know? It's kind of like what Les did last night. Everything was going wrong, but he was having a ball, laughing and laughing and laughing. I said, you got it. You actually got the truth, you know? Because it's a joke. And worked so hard, and everything fell flat on his face. So, good. He goes, time to take another path. Maybe. Who knows? Only he will know. And that questioning has to be within. And why has it happened? For 3 years, every morning, 1 hour every morning, no matter what, meditation, determination. And every day, read at least one spiritual truth. Every day. And every day, at least do one good deed for someone. And you get the gift by itself. You don't even have to ask for it. It will come. My guru always used to say, you know, you can sit in a dark room and say, I don't want light, I don't want light, I don't want light. But the moment you open the curtain, whether you want light or not, you're going to get it. So if you do the practice, you don't know when it's going to come to you. Some people get it like this. Some people take a long time. Some people take many lifetimes, but every day gets better. You know, I always say, I started this practice at the age of 33. I am 61 today. 62 this year, sorry. No, and I tell you, every year, life is just so much more relaxed, so much more joyful. And I've had many things go wrong for me, especially the last 4 months. So lots and lots of things, but it's just been fun. It's a journey. Can I go through it and still laugh? It's really interesting. And you know, every year I think, life isn't so bad anymore. And then every day you just laugh with that consciousness. Oh, you love me so much that you love to test me. I won the test. I didn't get miserable. And you go, yes, and that's the feeling you get. It's a great challenge with your own mind, because where is the demon? Here. Where is the angel? Here. So it really is. So practice, everybody. It's so exciting. You just don't know what happens to you, and when it does happen, the freedom. It's the freedom, that moksha, that is so delicious. Okay. So next we do the slogans for peaceful living. There is no presence outside of the present. This is really important. I had a talk, when was it? Tuesday, yeah, all about living in the now. The rest are shadows. Really, the truth is, now is all we have. That's the truth. It's all we have. So when you get angry in the now, just take a deep breath. It's all I have. I can be angry or I can let it go. It takes training, okay? Do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. It may not work for 10 times, but on the 11th time, it starts to work. It starts to work. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't give up on yourself. Please, you're worth it. Remember L'Oreal? Because I'm worth it. My niece always did that. That's what I learned it from her. I loved it. I just loved it. And you know, she said it. And my niece, this is my niece whose mom, my sister, had a severe stroke at the age of 38. And my niece was 11, so it was a big shock. She was the only child. But you know, at 4 years old, she used to come and visit, because this was my baby sister. And I've always brought her up, because 9 years younger than me. And so Lavi, her surname. So at 4 years old, when she used to bring her daughter before her stroke, her daughter used to walk into my little temple at home. I've always built my own altar since I started to practice. And she goes, Masi, Masi means auntie in Indian. Masi, you got it all right. You see, you've got Jesus and you've got this one and you've got this one. And everybody together, we're all one. Why do people fight? 4 years old. Mm-hmm. I never forget it. And guess what? She got married 2 years ago. And to a wonderful family in Sri Lanka, very spiritual, very they have everything. They're so wealthy. They do so much charity. So many good deeds, and that's the family she's married to. Because she lived this, as you think, it will become, and she never got angry, even though she had 2 very, very frightening years, because it was her mom. She adored her mom. She was the only child. She was so frightened, and I could see those 2 years from 11 to 13, she really suffered. She never complained. This child never complained. From the age of 13, she started giving her mom so she started giving her mom, looking after her mom, giving her mom bath, and so it's really just so lovely to see, really, when you live in that goodness and not blame and anger, your life will be blessed. I'm so blessed. My sister wrote me a lovely WhatsApp the other day. She said, I'm visiting my daughter in Sri Lanka, and sis, her house is beautiful and they're spoiling me. Her husband and her are just totally spoiling me. I go, yes, you're a queen, you deserve it. But you see, life, you get what you put in. Even though it was so hard, she never complained. She was moved because my family lived in Hong Kong, and my sister had to move to Hong Kong because her husband was in Africa, and she couldn't go back to Africa. So the girl was moved from London boarding school to Hong Kong school to Africa. She just accepted it. And now she's beautiful. She's really, you just look at life, And I always used to say, don't worry about your daughter to my sister. She will get everything the gods give her. And let me tell you another story. Yeah, we've had, because this is true life. I'm just not making it up. I meet all these wonderful people in my life. That's the joy of my life. We have a visitor here at the moment her name is Heaven. Can you imagine the mother? Isn't it nice? What a beautiful name. She's from the States. She was working in Yogaville. And one of our students had met somebody on a trip to Yogaville and fallen in love with somebody there. So now she's 6 months in Yogaville and 6 months here. But I think she'll live there permanently. She's really in love. Anyway, this girl, Heaven, wanted to see the world. And she said since the age of 6, very young age, she used to say, I'm going to go to Europe. And I'm going to meet this wonderful family. And this person is going to look after me so well. And she will have a daughter that is my age. Guess what? She's come with this student that I told you about that went to America and found her love there. Came back with her. And her daughters are the same age as Heaven, and they're best of friends. And she said to me, you know, Nalanie, I visualized it. She said, I saw this picture in my head for years, and I said, you got it. In fact, I mentioned it at the talk last night because she told me. I said, you see the power of the mind. Another story, my granddaughter, 4 years, she's 16 this year. She was 12. She said, Granny, you know, I really want to go to New York when I'm 16. I really want to go to New York. Okay, don't worry, we'll see what we can do, you know. It's expensive for all the family to go. But, you know, 16, last year, this is, maybe in October, we'll take you. Why do you want to go to New York? I really want to go to New York. She's 16 this year. The school offered a trip to New York. 12 students to go to the UN. And of course, that's the best way to see New York with people your own age, right? Rather than Granny. So she, you know, and I told her, I said, you know, Tara, you for 4 years, you were so determined that by the age of 16, you're going to go to New York, and you're going. She's going next month. And they're going to work at the UN for 5 days. She's so excited about that. So what are the chances of this year that coming up on her 16th birthday? Do you know? So as you think, it becomes. And so I said to my daughter, look, we're out of it. She's going. So funny. Life is really quite interesting when you watch it. You see, all these things, all these miracles, you know, they may not seem like miracles, but for us it's miracles, appear when you live in, when there's no nonsense in your mind. You can see all the wonderful things that are happening. You can see all the painful things too, but you just accept them. It's life. Now the other paper I gave you, yeah, not so bad. I got 5 more minutes. This is a song that the master of my master used to wrote. Any of you know Master Shivananda? Heard of Master Shivananda? Okay, some of you, not all of you. Master, you know, normally when you have spiritual masters, it's like, it like goes on for generations, so that the knowledge is passed on through energy and vibration. So one master passes to another master, to another master, to another master. So Master Shivananda was, he died I think in 1956, and he was a medical doctor. And he went from India to Malaysia to work as a medical doctor, and he realized that medicine couldn't heal everyone because the spirit was sick and the soul was sick. So after being a doctor for so many years, he went back to India to find himself. He, you know, who am I? What am I? And how can I really heal people? How can I really heal people? And of course, he then became self-realized, and everybody started coming to him. It is because of him, in this generation, many of his students have given this world all this yogic information. One of his students is Swami Satchidananda, who happens to be my master. Another one is Swami Chidananda. Amazing work. Amazing being. Another one from the same branch is Chinmayananda. Total intellect. Brought a lot of wisdom to the Western world. And, well, there's more. Krishnananda, Swami Radha, who was Canadian. She was really brave in those days. I don't know how she went from Canada to India to Rishikesh in those days. If you think how difficult the journey must have been. And when he passed away, she moved back to Canada, and she has written some amazing books. Her name is Swami Radha Shivananda, I think. She's been named after him. But these people have been great lights in the world. Most of them have passed away the last 10 years, most of them. And I think they left this knowledge because now, you know, my master used to say this. He said, what's the point of you all garlanding me and putting petals in my feet? What is the point if you don't live that way? You need to live that way yourself. Yes, I can pass you energy. Yes, I can give you light. But once you've got it, ignite it yourself. And I think many of them have left the body now because the next generation is we all have to do it. If we want to really, speed up goodness in life, speed up peace in this world, speed up understanding, teach people that, ignorance does not make them happy. Show them the way. We can all work together. We can speed up this process. This is why each one of us has to find the peace within ourselves. This is really the reason why. Because you find the peace within yourself, you set a virus out in this world of love. And each person can infect 100 people. At least. My master infected millions. All over the world, there are centers. Of course, some of us fall, some of us rise, but that's the journey. No judgment. Some days we can do it, some days we can't. That's the journey. Just get up and walk again. It's the journey. Don't be afraid of it. Anyway, Master Shivananda wrote this, and I just think it's such a nice way to live. If we can live like this, we will always find our peace. So actually it's a song. Shanti, you sing it. Will you come up here so you can sing it? And maybe you can join along with her. Come here.
Okay.
And then we'll join with her.
Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. Be good, do good, be kind and be compassionate. Inquire, who am I? Know thyself and be free. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Bear insult, bear injury, highest sadhana. Detach, attach, detach, attach. Detach the mind from the world, attach it to the Lord. D-I-N, D-I-N, D-I-N. Do it now, do it now, do it now. See, find, enter and rest. This is the way, this is the truth, this is the life divine. Jai! Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om.
In a way, can you do the itties or is that really difficult?
I don't know, it's just, I don't even try because it's going to come out wrong.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you very much. So he gives us some things to do in our life so that we can live a divine life. This is a life divine. Jai means victory. This is how you can be happy. This is the journey of our human existence. And whatever you have, enjoy. It talks about here in the next one. We can't say it because it's quite difficult with the tune. Serenity, regularity, absence of vanity. Oh, I need to put my glasses, sorry. Sincerity, simplicity, veracity, equanimity, fixity, non-irritability, adaptability, humility, tenacity, integrity, nobility, magnanimity, charity, generosity, purity. Practice daily these 18 itties. You will soon attain immortality. Brahman is the only real entity. Mr. So-and-so is a false non-entity. Mr. So-and-so is ourselves. You will abide in infinity and eternity. You will behold unity in diversity. You cannot attain this at the university. By grace of Guru, you will attain immortality. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. So that is from Master Shivananda. I wish I had met him. I always feel I have because my master would speak about him, and he said he'd have this great voice in the ashram, and he would sing in the ashram all day long, and people would just, he would say, adapt, adjust, accommodate. He was a big man, and he would just sing all the time. Why are you worried? You know, be happy, be happy, be happy. You are spirit, be happy. Why are you worried? Why are you worried? Be happy. All day long, so with that, I end my talk.